Gender-based violence is an epidemic, with many women suffering in silence, scared to leave or stay. For many, when they finally leave the abusive space, it's after much deliberation. Yet the outside world is not safe as well.
In both instances, these rape survivors, when they went to report their incidents of rape, they were serviced by female police officers, both of whom asked them what they were wearing to provoke the perpetrator, and treated them like they were lying, as though they were somehow the ones to be charged with the crime. The one victim, in fact, did pursue a protection order and received one, and true to form, when she went to the police, they refused to serve the protection order on her perpetrator, so she had to do it herself. And as a result, she not only put herself directly in harm's way, but also her protection order was ineffective because there was no valid service. Valid service can only be achieved through a police officer serving the protection order. And in both cases, neither of the survivors got justice. The one proceeded to trial, and her matter failed in court. The other one didn't even proceed to trial.
The Teddy Bear Foundation have worked with numerous victims of gender-based violence, violence against children, violence against women, and the responses that have been elicited by the victims is the inappropriate and inadequate responses by law enforcement officials. Often there seems to be a lack of sensitivity where the responses have been inappropriate, where they've been turned away or they've been subjected to ridicule and they have not been believed, or their pain and trauma has not been acknowledged. Now this also attributes to the fact that a lot of these officials do not have the training, so therefore the lack of sensitivity and the inability to communicate with victims of gender-based violence.
The damning report by the Public Protector reveals significant administrative shortcomings within the criminal justice system. After examining 38 magistrates' courts across South Africa, they uncovered a troubling landscape of neglect and inefficiency.
Specifically when it came to SABC, she made a number of findings. Among them was that there were not enough victim-friendly rooms in most SABC stations around the country. In fact, just over 100 out of over 1,000 police stations have such rooms. She also found that police officers were very reluctant to record GBV crimes, and in fact did not inform victims when they came to report their crimes that they had a right to pursue criminal action. They would often just send them to court to get protection orders.
The findings painted a bleak picture when it comes to the support given to GBV victims. It highlighted various issues, including outdated infrastructure, inadequate facilities, and systemic failures that undermine the protection and justice owed to those who seek it.
One also needs to understand and appreciate that law enforcement officers have high caseloads and high stress burnout. That is something that we've seen where they are working on a case and then the case is then handed over to another officer, so which delays the whole process. But even in terms of access to resources, where vehicles may not always be available to transport victims for medical examinations. So these are challenges that victims are faced with, and often victims are then failed by the very systems that are supposed to protect them, subjected to secondary victimization and trauma.
Activists say there's a need to amend existing legislation to afford more protection to victims of GBV and femicide. Hasina Gori, SABC News, Johannesburg.